Welcome in, everyone. Joe Quills here with you on this Monday night. Welcome to another edition of the Joe Quills Show, as you can see right there on the banner there. Got a great show coming up here. A lot of interesting stories here, and got some weird goth stories. So, we might that could qualify as the stupid shit I saw, but we'll see what happens. What you think about that as well. So, coming up on the show tonight, you see that. Uh, Jaron Duran got suspended. Goth news, world goth news, or weird goth news, but I spelled weird wrong. So let me fix that because that is one of my OCD things where I will call out spelling, including my own. So, so there we go. I fixed it, and hopefully that is the only error that I have. So, but anyways, we're here tonight on Monday night, the beginning of a new work week, and I see we're having some issues with X again. Now, I am broadcasting there, so if you just want to watch for shits and giggles and not participate, um, then feel free to watch there. But if you want to join me and participate and chat, you can come on over to YouTube, youtube.com/ at Joe Quills, or you can go to the um, go to my Twitch at Joe Quills as well. So doesn't wherever you want to go. Um, it appears that those two will be the places that will be where you're going to chime in here. So uh, probably that's something else I got to figure out here. Is I got beat at Assiniboia Downs by a long shot. But anyways, um, also, if you caught my article today, Quills picks winners on the Bleacher Brothers channel. Congratulations, you have 11.80 per every $2 you wagered back in your account, hands, whatever. We did pick the winner today. That's two winners in a row. We had the winner yesterday, Carl Spackler, in the four-star Dave Stakes at Saratoga. So we're going for the hat trick tomorrow. Don't know what we're going to look at yet. Probably a Assiniboia Downs. So we'll see if we can go for the hat trick and get the hat trick tomorrow, uh, right here. And who knows? Maybe if it falls into place, maybe we call the race live for you. I have fun doing that, even though it's a little fun thing I do just for shits and giggles. So um, I'm trying to see if I can fix this issue here, if it's something on my end. Um, and forgive me because it's saying limited by broadcaster here. So I don't know what that means exactly. Probably gonna have to play around with this later on. So if you're watching on X, if you're in the mood to chat, you um, may have to come over to Twitch or YouTube. So, anyways, hopefully you did have that horse at Louisiana Downs today. I was not going to handicap a four-horse race at Assiniboia that the daily racing form was offering. I said, F you. I'm going to go to I'm going to go to Equibase, which they're hand in hand with each other, but they highlight different races. They highlighted Louisiana Downs. I said thank you, and we gave you the winner. So you're welcome if you had that. So anyway, so let's get to it here tonight, and uh, so one thing I will tell you guys, um, you know, and this is something that could pop up from time to time with um, like job hiring. Like if I was a hiring manager, instead of just saying I'm not hiring you because you used certain words, certain phrases in the uh, in on Twitter. I'm sorry, X. I call it X now a little bit more because of the fact I'm actually bending over for Elon so I can stream on there. So, um, so I don't know if it's, uh, you know, the one thing I'll say is because if you go through your hiring process, you do they will check your social media, and you know sometimes you just I mean sometimes I mean it's not all that hard. You could just go, like, for example, um, username at username, and use every derogatory term you can think of. And if something comes up, then you'd be like, oh, he said this. Well, I'm the type of person when it comes to that sort of thing. I personally believe when it comes to that, you know, I would be the type of person that will question somebody who said that, say, maybe even have a second interview in the interview process and say, well, we went through your social media and you said whatever. You said this tweet. Is this something you still believe in? And judge by their answer. Because I'm the personal belief that people change over time. And I'm sure people could go back to something I said 30 years ago, in a conversation between two people. I'm sure that would be the case too. But, it's not a belief that everybody deserves a second chance, because sometimes people don't deserve second chances. But, a lot of times you just want to question, because especially when it's something, especially now since Twitter slash X has been around for what, 10, 15 years, almost 20, you have to wonder if maybe people change after a while. Because, if you say something like 6 months ago that, someone, even attacking somebody, that someone's a piece of shit, let's say, or, you say, um, you know, drop a certain word that Duran said on Sunday. If they say it more recently, then that raises a red flag, and I would then say, I'm not hiring you. But if you admit that you said something 5, 10, or well, 5 would probably be the minimum. 5, 10, 15 years ago, you say something, do you still believe that? And you say, and you give something along the lines of, you know, we all change as people, I, you know, even though it's there for everybody to see, it's so far down there, and you really have to dig for it. So, it isn't like you have like 7 tweets and you go dormant for 10 years. That's easy to find. But when you're me and you have, let me see how many tweets I have. When you have over 76,000 tweets on my account, you really got to dig for something. You really got to dig. So, um, so I would definitely say, you know, you have to be careful what you say, no matter what you say, whether it's verbal or it's done on the internet. Now, Jared Duran said one of those words that you just do not say to anyone. Now, it was an anti-gay slur that I'm sure many of us have said many years ago, and the whole acceptance of everything is fine. Now, the one thing I will tell you guys is, you may find something I may have said many years ago, but you know what? Things change. I couldn't care less if you like someone of the same sex or not. I couldn't care less. You know, are you going to change what you're doing because I don't like it? No, you're probably going to do it even more. It's kind of like, I mean, comparing apples and oranges. If I tell you, don't follow this streamer, don't listen to the streamer, they do this, this, and this, what are most of you going to do? You're going to go to that streamer. That's why I will never tell you to not go to a particular streamer, especially in a public forum like this stream is. You know, I may say, "Hey, be careful with somebody," but that's going to be even in private. I'm not, and even those that you know, like for example, one person a couple of months ago wanted to start a whole um, rivalry that why did you go here instead of going with Bleacher Brothers? Well, all my work I did was with Bleacher Brothers anyway, so why why are you turning this into a big deal? Because it doesn't mean I can't be friends with somebody. It just means that you know. But I'm gonna tell you, hey, if you want to listen, go right ahead. I'm not gonna stop you. You know, but I'll say, hey, come back over here when my show's on. But um, but when it comes to comments like this that Jared Duran said, you know, I'm surprised he only got 2 games. But then again, it's from what we know of first offense. But I think that if he were to do something like this again, it may be 5, it may be 10, whatever. Whatever. Yeah, I don't even know if there is a guideline for a certain number of games. But because there is past practice, remember, in union workshops, even a union workshop like Major League Baseball, you have to look at past precedents, and you do have precedents of Matt Joyce getting 2 games. I'll get to that when we get to that in the article here. So Major League Baseball suspended Jarren Duran for 2 games. Well, Major League Baseball and the Boston Red Sox. I don't know if it was the Boston Red Sox that announced the suspension and MLB said, "Okay, we're happy with this," or Major League Baseball said, "You get 2 games because of this," and go from there. So he uttered an anti-gay slur at a fan during the team's loss Sunday to the Houston Astros. Now, I believe that game was in Boston yesterday, so let me just double check that because um, I am making sure. Um, Let me just double check this here. Yes, the game was in Boston. So Houston won 10-2. Duran went 0 for 3. Um, you know, 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts and a walk. So he had a shitty day at the plate. People have it. So, and you don't know what's going on in his personal life as well. So maybe a family member's sick, maybe a kid's sick. Who knows? But um, but the suspension begins with today's game against the Texas Rangers. The Red Sox announced that Duran's salary from the suspension will be donated to PFLAG, which was formerly called Parents, Families, and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. So money gets donated to them. So In the sixth inning of Sunday's game at Fenway, okay, so I didn't even need to look it up. Duran turned around in the middle of an at bat and said to the heckler, "Shut up, you effing F word." And if you know those slurs that you're not supposed to say, especially the anti gay ones, you know what that F word is. He apologized in a statement Sunday night for using a truly horrific word when responding to a fan. Now, when I was reading this story, I was picturing that it was happening in the field, but apparently must have been behind home plate because the way that he said that, yeah, it was in the middle of the bat. So, me looking at this while I'm getting ready, hooked on phonics needs to work a little bit more for me. But he apologized in a statement Sunday night for using a truly horrific word when responding to a fan. So, so before answering reporters' questions in the middle of the clubhouse Monday, Duran started by further apologizing to fans that he said reached out to him and said they were disappointed in me, and rightfully so. Now, I'm sure many people have used this word and gotten away with it. I know I even used it, but you know, the thing is, when you're in an open forum like that, and especially when you're at the plate, so I'm sure that they have the microphone at the plate, so because mostly you get it there so you can hear the pop of the mitt, the crack of the bat. You don't intend to hear somebody say "you effing f word," you know. Um, he also said, "I'm sorry for my actions. I'm going to work on being better." He said, as he was quoted by the Associated Press. And the thing is, um, he knew what he did already. Um, you know, do I think that he's very free with that word? I don't know. I don't know the guy. But sometimes you just say some things that fly out of your mouth and you don't think, you know, probably could have just said, you know, shut up, you fucking asshole. You could have said that and got away with it. Or you could have said, you know, go to security and go to actually umpires will get fans thrown out of games. And the umpire could say, hey, get this fucking asshole out of here. Something like that. But, you know, the fact that he did say that, it's uncalled for. And I'm not on the woke side of things because you know what? There are times where things just fly out of your mouth and if you're the one that's apologizing, you're apologizing one for the right reasons and two, you know what you did wrong and not apologizing because you got caught. Now, is he doing it? And that's the thing here now. If you saw the apology after the game or you saw what he said today, okay, is it, you know, now you go into the the court of the court of the public, um, you know, the court of public opinion. That's what I'm looking for. You go into the court of public opinion, and then you start to decide, he's only apologizing because he did this because he got caught. And the thing is, you could tell a bullshit artist from a mile away. Most people can. You know, I mean, you know, I didn't see any. I didn't even try to look these videos. I'm just taking them with a grain of salt here, and try to give him the benefit of the doubt here. Um, um, President and Chief Executive Officer Sam Kennedy said the club was in touch with Major League Baseball after the game. So, um, I think that when something like this happens, you have to report it. And they said, hey, you know, he did do this. He admits it. He apologizes. He's going to take whatever penalty you give him, that sort of thing. I mean, whatever is said here. So, um, Kennedy said that it's a really difficult day, disappointing. I'm proud of the way the organization addressed the situation. Um, I'm proud of Jaron for acknowledging his horrific mistake. And the thing is, I think once things calm down, you have to give somebody a couple of minutes to cool off. I know I even need a few minutes to cool off. That's why when I get done at 7:30, I don't stream until at least 9 o'clock. And part of the reason why is I need to get all the toxic bullshit that the customers throw at me for 8 hours a day. I need to get rid of that so I can be the best person I can be for you here in something that I truly love to do, which is to talk sports. Whether it's for the fact that it's available after the fact for you guys, or the fact that anybody can watch this at any time. So that's what I truly love about streaming for you guys is I could do something I truly love and you know just have fun with this because you know you know you don't work a day in your life if you're doing something you love. And if this was my real job, I would tell you I'd never worked a day in my life. But because, you know, I have my job that I really have, which is a real strain on me from time to time, not financially, but mental health aspects of people screaming at you for the dumbest of reasons and all the things like that, it really, it really bugs me. And this is one of the ways that I decompress from a long day at work, and that's having fun with you guys. And that's why I want to make this as interactive as possible for you guys because guess what? You may come in, it's like, Joe, do we really need to talk about Duran here? Well, it's a breaking story. It's one of the top stories that came up today. So, yeah, we need to talk about it. The weird golf news, I think it's going to be funny, strange. So, it's worth mentioning. The Aaron Rodgers book, the gold medal ties. I think that's interesting to me because it all depends upon your sports books. And also, I can give you guys some tips now, especially with the NFL, um, the NFL future wagers right now, because you may want to bet the Eagles over 10.5 wins, or you may want to play Carolina under however many wins they're projecting, or however wins plus or over or under for the Cowboys, let's say. You may want to do that. And I'm going to give you some ideas of that as well. So there is a reason behind some of these things that I'm picking for stories. One, talk about something different. Two, if you want to chime in, feel free to do so. Um, if you're on YouTube, chat away. Twitch, chat away. And if you're on X, we'll figure out that issue. But if you really do want to chime in, come on over, especially to Twitch, so I can get to affiliate status here. So, but um, but Chief Baseball Officer Craig Breslow said the team still has work to do about this issue. Um, he said, I think it's striking as evidence that while we have made great strides and done great work, we haven't done nearly enough. I think that an incident like this is an important reminder there's a ton of progress that still needs to be made. And you know what? Everybody makes mistakes. And you know what? Sometimes people just piss you off to no end. And the only way you can do that is just pissing somebody off and just saying something which is totally out of line. And he probably has never used that word in his life, or he might have, or he realizes, and like I say, you know, You may know certain slurs, but do you know the ramifications of them? That's the important part because if you don't know the ramifications, then, you know, you use that word and, you know, and the last thing I think you want to do is be labeled as somebody that hates gay people, hates anybody in the LGBTQ and uh, that group. I couldn't think of the right word that I'm looking for, so I'm not saying that group as a slur, but it may sound like that if you're listening after the fact or listening while you're doing something else while you're streaming the replay of this. The community. That's probably the best word that I could have used. But you know, I think that if you say it once in public and you did something wrong right away, like I'm gonna say coming up in a second here. Um, I think that once you get into something happening numerous times, then there's a major problem. Then you got somebody who just does not care about what he says, especially about a certain group like the LGBTQ community. So that is definitely something I could say to you about that. So, um, but yeah, that's definitely something to look at here. So forgive me for a second. I'm just trying to pull something up here. Oh, so you just got to be careful with everything you say. So um, that's the best thing I can tell you guys is just be careful what you say. Um, so um, now Duran told reporters that the fan had been heckling him the entire game, and I said something I shouldn't have said. Okay. Now I'm sure there's something where if somebody is heckling them the whole game and you know exactly who it is, you point them out, you get rid of them. That's all you have to do. And I think when you get to the sixth inning and the home plate umpire is there and he hears it, I think you say, get rid of him, something like that. Um, but that's definitely something that should not have been done. You shouldn't have said that. Um, um, Duran said he immediately turned and apologized to the home plate umpire Jordan Baker and Houston catcher Yanir Diaz for his actions. They were right there. They heard me say it. I'm assuming they cut the mic because of my inappropriate word. So there is probably some sort of a mic there at home plate, like I said. Um, probably, for the pop of the ball hitting the mitt, the crack of the bat, that sort of thing. So it'd be enhanced on TV. So it probably now I don't know if baseball or especially Nesson, who probably carried the game on in the Boston area. You know, I don't know if they have a 7-second delay, so maybe there was a 7-second delay and it never got onto the broadcast. But also remember, if you're broadcasting on a cable channel, you don't have to bleep out that stuff because of the fact that it is on because cable channels are not necessarily regulated by the FCC. So you can get away with calling somebody a fucking idiot with the full F word. If you remember Pete Rose, He was drunk off his mind when he was last at Citizens Bank Park a couple years ago, and he said quite a few things he shouldn't have said. But he was, you know, you know, talking about the cockeye fastball and stuff like that. All the different things that he said. But you got to realize that you know there's some things you just don't say, and that's one of them. And forgive me, I'm trying to fix something here because I'm trying to keep track of everything here. And if I need to remove something from the Twitch chat, I can. So, um, so if he if he had said right then and there, if this was something that he said right away to the umpire, you know, I'm sure that I'm sure that that was definitely a sign that he knew he fucked up. Um, you know, you don't just say. I mean, you can tell that the whole inclusivity stuff that that MLB does and that diversity summits and also remember Billy Bean died last week. So, and he helped to bring a lot of that inclusiveness to Major League Baseball. Um, but you do have, um, you know, I think that maybe if baseball didn't have that, I doubt he apologizes. And, you know, I think that because he apologized, he was able to stay in the game because, you never know. I mean, there were a couple of umpires that were gay. One just retired. I forget who the name is, but, you know, what happens if you're the umpire, okay, and you are gay? You know, do you let it slide because of the fact that what he said is a mistake, or do you toss him because you're having a bad day, just like he's having a bad day with this heckler? You know, but um, but if he apologized right away, in my opinion, all the diversity that Major League Baseball does has been working because you don't have to deal because you know it's like, oh, I messed up. I said something I should have said. So that tells me what he said. He knew what he said was wrong, and it was just a seed of. It was just something that came up. You know. Now, would I prefer that he said, "Shut up, you fucking asshole"? Yeah, sure. But I mean, that's not a slur, calling somebody an asshole. But um, you know, but he did say something he shouldn't have said, and he admitted to it. And when they're and of course Alex Corey, the manager, says there's a lot of work to be done. I'm here to help him out. And if you're, that this is something that you definitely have to work on. And and I just think that combination of bad day or striking out left and right, and who knows what he's getting in the field. I'm sure he said, I'm sure it was totally out of character, but um, and Core also said he made a big mistake and he's living with it. Um, and like Cora said, it's there's more for me from my end. Uh, it's what I can do as a person to help support him and make him be better. We make mistakes, plain and simple. Um, Now, like I said, the the past precedence calls for a 2-game suspension. Matt Joyce in 2017 got 2 games for directing a slur at a fan, an anti-gay slur. So probably that same word. Um, that same season, Kevin Pillar was banned 2 games for uttering a similar slur used by Duran and Atlanta pitcher Jason Mott, who Pillar believed had struck him out on a quick pitch. So, you know, you just can't use that word. And, and when I gave you the censored take here, I'm sure you know what that word is. It's also a word for a cigarette, I believe. Well, the shortened version of that slur, but you get the idea. But um, Escobar got 3 games in 2012 for wearing eye black stickers with an anti-gay slur in Spanish. So, um, but Red Sox also said we echo Jaron's apology to our fans, especially to the LGBTQ community. We strive to be an organization that welcomes all fans to Fenway Park and will continue to educate our employees, players, coaches, and staff of the importance of inclusivity. I can't say that word tonight for whatever reason. So, whatever. Just one of those days for me. So, yeah, it's you just don't use that word. Trying to find something here. I can't find it here. One second here. Sorry about that. Um, yeah, so that's the one thing I would say is just you just can't use that word. So so we'll go on to golf news here, and um, had a couple of weird stories here that is part of the which could be classified under the stupid shit I saw segment, but we're not classifying as that. We're just putting the golf stories together. Um, and I definitely don't talk about live golf too much, especially because it's hard to find the stuff on TV. But live was in Nashville a couple weeks ago, and the Live Golf League has suspended Graham McDowell for one tournament and fined him $125,000 for using a nasal decongestant that contained a banned substance, according to the league on Sunday. So the reason why I printed up I wanted to mention is because I thought, Rebel League, Middle East, and all that. I'm thinking, maybe, maybe they just don't have much in the way of rules other than you only play 54 holes instead of 72. But um, uh, I'm sorry, this tournament was from June 21st to the 23rd. So I guess what happened was they had the A sample, they had the B sample, and whatever. So McDowell tested positive for, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that word, uh, levo levomethamphetamine at a tournament in College Grove, Tennessee on June 21st to 23rd. So if I pronounce that right, congratulations to me. But um, McDowell said in a statement on social media, ahead of Live Nashville, I was struggling with severe congestion and was affecting my sleep. In an effort to manage it, I used a generic Vicks nasal decongestant without realizing it might be on the ban list. And trust me, if you're feeling sick like that, you know, you don't give a shit what's in there. I mean, it could test out as cocaine or whatever, you name the drug, whatever they're going to test for. Yeah, I think you get to a point where, you know, I need to I need to be able to breathe. I need to sleep, all that stuff. So I think he got to the point where he just said, I don't care. I need to take something. And probably he should have consulted officials that were there in Nashville and said, "Hey, what can you give me to help me with this stuff, with this congestion, this cold, this allergies, whatever it was." But um, he said, as a professional golfer, I understand the importance of checking all medications and the option to apply for a therapeutic use exemption. Unfortunately, I did not take the time to do this due to the over counter nature of the medicine and deeply regret the oversight. I fully accept the sanctions imposed by Liv. So, you just, things just, he decided, hey, I have to take something. It happened that, it came up with a dirty test. So, now, he's the first golfer to be disciplined under Liv's golf anti-doping policy. Now, if they have an anti-doping policy, why all those dopes in Liv? But bump. But anyways, um, McDowell also said Liv's anti-doping policy is designed to be thorough and transparent. Unlike some other tours, Liv enforces these rules rigorously, which made the situation particularly challenging for me. However, I respect the need for these rules and penalties. They are essential for maintaining the integrity of the sport. Now, after reading that, I wonder if that's a dig at the PGA. I wonder if that's a dig at the um, the DP Tour, which used to be PGA Europe. I wonder if it's a dig at another league, another tour. It's a dig at somebody, probably the PGA. But the first thing I thought of when, for example, Bryson DeChambeau went to Live, it's like, oh, he just wants to use steroids. You know, obviously, Live must have some stringent things in place that are more stringent than PGA or DP or Corn Ferry or whatever. And I only know Corn Ferry because I'm playing the PGA golf game right now. But you do have these different events. You have these different tours, and obviously he's taking the dig at somebody. Probably the PGA Tour because Live and PGA, even though they're trying to work out a merger of some sort, but they mentioned that they are working on it, but they're not. So who knows? But um, so and probably a reason why reason why they didn't announce this suspension until now is because they're going to be in West Virginia next week, the land of legally being brother and sister, at the Greenbrier. His replacement is yet to be named. He'll be able to return in Bolingbrook, Illinois, September 13th to the 15th. He tied for 42nd in the 54-man field at one under in the singles portion of it. His team, which is captained by Brooks Koepka, finished 12th out of 13 squads in the team competition. McDowell and Smash Golf Club will be disqualified from that tournament, and their points and prize money will be adjusted retroactively. So, yeah, so that was definitely something I saw yesterday. It's like, oh, I gotta mention that because first of all, Live has rules, but because they're a little lenient when it comes to clothing, and they play a lot of music and stuff like that. But apparently they're stringent on other things, like for example, piss tests. So Gray McDowell, if you're a Live fan, you won't be seeing him this weekend. Now, here's the real weird story that came up this weekend. I hope on Wednesday. Now, first of all, follow follow Bleacher Brothers on Facebook, on Twitch. Well, they don't really use Twitch too much, but YouTube, X, or just go to bleacherbrothers.com as well. Um, Shep Tom and my sometime sidekick, for also eligible Frank, they talk golf on Wednesdays before the start of a tournament on the PGA Tour, and I'm sh- I may even say, hey guys, what about what happened on Wednesday with this? Because I'd like to hear what they have to say. Because I will not be surprised if the rules change here with this. So, um, they had um, they were running into darkness issues at the end of the tournament. Now, the tournament was won already by Alan Rye. I think that's his first, Aaron Rye. He won the tournament. He was in the next to last group. The last group was at the 18th, and they teed off, and they were given the option to continue playing or not. So, and I saw this at the end of CBS because I was flipping around after the Olympic ceremony was over and after the Phillies got their dick kicked in yesterday. You know, I was watching different things and just flipping around, doing whatever, and I saw the golf was still on. So it's like, all right. So they did try to play 36 holes on the final day. So, and the reason why you do it is because you get everything done by Sunday. And they had a rain out on Thursday because of all the weather. So they had the first round on Friday, the second round on Saturday. They played 36 holes with groups of 3 on Sunday, and I think what they did was they split them up into the were um, groups that were the worst groups, that were furthest down the standings. They probably started at 10, went 10 to 18, and then 1 to 9, whereas the best groups went through 1 through 18. So they're the final two. They're the final 3 golfers on the course, and one golfer in that group went to one of the tournament officials and said, because he knew that the sun had set or just about set, he said, "Is this a virtual horn blow?" Which means that if you blow a horn, depending on the type of horn that it blows, I believe, and this is something that Chef Tom could probably answer on Wednesday on his show. Um, you could, there are horns that blow that tell players, okay, weather warning, get off the course, or you know, this certain horn means finish the hole if you want, or you come back tomorrow. But since they were the final 3, now the one golfer who finished second, he decided to finish out, which probably, he probably should have waited. But even though I probably wouldn't have slept at all because guess what? You're down 2 shots. You got a hole out from the fairway to force a playoff, which didn't happen. So 2 of the guys decided I'm playing out this hole. I'm getting the fuck out of here. I played 36 holes. I want to go home or to the next stop on the tour. Matt Kuchar decided, screw this, I'll come back tomorrow. So Kuchar was the only player who opted not to finish Sunday's final round at Sedgefield Country Club in Greensboro, North Carolina, due to darkness. So he returned to the course this morning. I mean, he returned to the course to play his 72nd hole, parring the 508-yard par four to finish in a 10-way tie for 12th place at 11 under. So he wasn't even in contention. That's what made it even weirder. So he ended up 7 strokes behind winner Aaron Rai. So his final tee shot on Sunday night had sailed to the left, leaving him 212 yards to the flag. Wanting more time to assess his options, but running out of daylight, he made the unusual decision to finish on Monday. And what made it unusual was that they're the final three guys on the course. And the other two guys decided, screw it, we're finishing tonight. So he came back at 8 o'clock in the morning. So he received a line of sight relief due to the scoreboard near the green. Kuchar dropped in the adjacent fairway and came up short of the green. His third shot struck the flagstick, leaving him with a tap-in par. It took 6 minutes for Kuchar to complete the hole. So Kuchar apologized Monday to all the staff and employees that had to return to the course Monday for him. And probably only needed about 4 or 5 staff members, because think about it. You only needed somebody to verify his card, which was probably already verified except for that last hole. But, um, and Kuchar also said, nobody wants to be the guy that's showing up today, one person, one hole. Not even one hole, half a hole to putt. So apologies to the tournament, to everybody that had to come out. I know it stinks. I know the ramifications. I know it stinks. Certainly, I apologize to force everyone to come out here. Now, if everybody did go out there for just one person, yeah, I would definitely be apologizing. But you know, in actuality, here, there's probably a reason why for this, and here's why. His tied for 12th finish came with a $135,000 paycheck. Now, he also moved up 10 spots. He also moved up 10 spots to number 103 in the FedEx Cup playoffs. A big boost to his chances finishing the season in the top 125 and maintaining his tour card in 2025. So there's more to it than just, okay, well, you motherfuckers got to come back. You know, it's about his career. It's about many different things. And, if you finish in the top 125, you get to keep your card, which makes sense. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of get it now, but, it was a dick move. But, you know, I would not be surprised if there's a rule change. And, I'm not the most avid golf watcher, but this is a weird story that had to be mentioned because, me, I love to have a weird story every now and then. But, you got to realize that maybe when you have a split decision like that, especially when you have 3 people in a group going around the course, if 2 say yes and 1 say no, then I think the 2 should force that third person to play. But, I'm just spitballing here, but he has that right to say, "Hey, it's dark. I can't see. You know, I need a ruling on this, and the ruling may take forever." Well, then he asked about the virtual horn blow, which is basically the case because it was, uh, you know, because it was dark. And you're not going to blow the horn. You're not going to waste the energy of blowing a horn for just three people on the course. But it was a strange story to say the least, and you know, it is what it is. So, but you know, and I'm sure that definitely was not on the Golf Channel this morning. I know it wasn't on. I know it probably wasn't on CBS this morning. CBS, CBS Sports Network or whatever. I'm sure it wasn't even on ESPN 8 The Ocho. So whatever it was, you know, so be it. Because it really didn't matter much. Now, this next story, you know, I can't believe I'm going to defend Aaron Rodgers a little bit here, but um, Aaron Rodgers regrets that his comment that he was immunized. Now, the whole thing is when it comes to everything with vaccines and shit like that, with COVID and everything, I'm not going to turn this into a political debate because that is not what I want to do. I definitely do not want to talk politics because I can tell you right now, and I say it every time when something could veer into that political territory. I'm not going to turn anything into a political football because you turn something political, you lean the little bit to the left, everybody on the right's going to be pissed off, and vice versa. So, instead of being left or right, I choose to be down the middle. I choose to be radically middle or radically away from everything. But, it's really a something that I choose to do because, you know, do you really give a shit who I vote for? You know, I don't care who you vote for. You know, I'm sure that I'm probably canceling your vote because I probably went the other way. But, you know, I'm not afraid of voting against my own party for certain reasons, especially when you got a DA who thinks that, I'm going to get every cop fired and arrested in jail for the littlest of things. But that's a topic for another day. But the point is, looking back on everything with COVID, you know, I would say in my case, why did I why did I get vaccinated? Because I consulted my doctor, which is something you should do, no matter what the issue is. Like, hey doc, I got blood coming out of my ass, or you know, and it hurts when I pee. I'm making stuff up, but you get the idea. But you know, if you have an issue, consult your doctor and all that, because the one thing I said was, how I mean, like my doctor when the vaccine came out, like for example, when my dad was alive, he said, somebody we were taking an Uber from whatever casino we were staying at, probably Harrah's, and we went to the Atlantic City train station. And he said to me, or the Uber driver said to both of us, "Well, what do you think about the vaccine?" My dad goes right away, "Oh, I'm getting it." Me, I said, I'm eventually going to get it. I want to see how this tests out first. Now, I understand why my dad wanted to do it because, he was early to mid 70s at the time. So, yeah, I understand why he said to that Uber driver, "Yeah, I'm getting it right away." In my case, I'm young enough, I'm healthy enough, and also I can consult my doctor with some of the questions I had, like, for example, how effective is this? And it was like when they were touting like 90 some percent at the time. And he goes, "Well, you know how effective the flu shot is?" I said, "No, about 50%." So the fact that, the tests are coming back 90% positive, that tells you what you need to know about getting this. So, it wasn't like I was blindly saying, "Hey, doc, I'm not getting it." And I wasn't saying, you know, "I'm getting it without your consultation." Even a lot of people do shit that medically that they do not consult their doctors as well. You know, I'm the type of person, and this is the case with anything, you know, and even with the show. I want to make you guys think a little bit, you know, think, respond. We have some fun here. But also, if it turns into a deep conversation, we can turn it into a deep conversation, yet we can have, all the fun that we can have here and also talk about things, and talk like we're a couple of adults, you know. But um now 3 years after Aaron Rodgers told reporters he was immunized against COVID, he said in a soon to be published unauthorized biography that he should have been truthful about his status. Now, the thing is, you know, even back then, because we're about four years removed from over 4 years removed from this country basically being shut down. And rightfully so, it had to be shut down because we don't know what the fuck that was at that time. We know people are dropping like flies. People are getting insanely sick and surviving and all that. We didn't know what it was. So we had to do our due diligence and find out what this is and then go about protecting our people. Because the worst thing you want out of your government, your doctors, whatever, whoever you want to include in this group, the last thing you want somebody or some group to say is fuck them. You don't want to go Ivan Drago on all the citizens of this country and say if they die, they die. That's how I looked at it. But you could say, well, my body, my choice. Do whatever you want, no matter what the next pandemic is or whatever. But um, now Rodgers, who previously said the controversy had dramatic impact on his public image, told author Ian O'Connor that the primary reason he claimed that he was immunized was the statement representing the crux of any appeal. So, um, Rodgers said in the book, "If there's one thing I wish could have gone different, it's that because that's the only thing critics could hit me with." So, um, back in November 2021, Packers four-time league MVP tested positive for COVID. Uh, as an unvaccinated player was sidelined, he was sidelined for a minimum of 10 days because you had different, if you were vaccinated, you had this amount of days. If you were unvaccinated, you had this amount of days. So, and mind you, we were still in the early stages of the pandemic in terms of being about 18 months out. So we didn't know everything, and you know we didn't know, and we probably still don't know a lot of shit that happened, but or effects because COVID is such a weird thing where one person gets it and it's like nothing, and another person is deathly sick, you know, and probably the person that's deathly sick is probably healthier than me, but you get the idea. Um, Rodgers had appealed to the NFL to have his homeopathic treatment regimen qualify him as vaccinated and faced widespread criticism for his misleading remarks. He was turned down. Now, 3 months earlier, which was probably around training camp time, he said he had been immunized and was heavily criticized by fans and much of the media. And, I mean, some of the comments coming up do make sense, even though Aaron Rodgers is a whack job. I think we can agree on that. Rodgers later said on the Pat McAfee show that his research showed he was allergic to an ingredient, polyethylene glycol or PEG, in the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines, and that he was concerned about reports of adverse medical reactions to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So, you know, and here's the thing, and I will say this as a person who's allergic to some medications, but I'm not going to tell you what they are because, I have a right to say I'm allergic to certain things, but I'm not going to tell you what. But um, if you're allergic to something, you're allergic to something. You know, I'm allergic to the one thing that I'm not mentioning what it is, but it is a common allergy to a certain medication. So I can understand if this allergy to PEG is true, then it makes sense why he was not vaccinated. Okay. You know, but also this is an unauthorized book, allegedly. So why is he actually talking to this? And I mean, but that's what makes me think even more. Why are you talking to this guy if it's unauthorized? But um, so uh, Roger said, but if I could do it again, I would have said in August, fuck the appeal. I'm just going to tell them I'm allergic to PEG. I'm not getting Johnson Johnson. I'm not going to be vaxxed. Rodgers, for now the quarterback of the Jets, said in the book, he said that in the book titled "Out of the Darkness: The Mystery of Aaron Rodgers." So the one thing is, when I look at this, and let me get rid of this. I was playing the horses there, and I wasn't doing well, so probably gave back the money and then some for the wagers that I had. That one wager I hit. Um, so the one thing I would say is, was there, and I don't remember, and I'm not going to look it up, nor do I care. Could there have been something in the books that said, well, if you have an allergy to something, what can we do? Or is there anything? I mean, the fact that it's 3 years ago, you know, I doubt anybody cares anymore because, COVID is basically like the flu now. You get your vaccine if you choose to get it, and you move on with life. Um, um, he said that Rogers also said, I had an immunization card from my holistic doctor, which looks similar. I wasn't trying to pawn it off as a vaccine card, but I said, listen, here's my protocol. Here's what you can follow to look this up. It was an ongoing appeal. So if I just had said I was unvaccinated in the moment, there was no chance that the appeal would have been handled the exact same way. So, you know, so it seems like now let's say this is a legitimate allergy. He did have a case here. Now, also remember we're talking about just getting back on our feet. You had limited fans in stadiums. So you're doing whatever you can to get everything back, starting to get back to normal. So, um, and he was asked if there was a local mandate like what affected Kyrie Irving in the NBA when he was with the Brooklyn Nets at the time. Asked if he would have gotten vaccinated, Rodgers said, "I wouldn't have done it." And like I said, if his vaccine thing is true, and I'm not questioning, I'm trying to distance myself from the left and the right because, I'm just trying to be as neutral as possible here. I'm trying to be Switzerland. If he did, if this is a legitimate allergy, then he has a reason why not to do it because people do have bad reactions to vaccinations and stuff, other medications, you know, whether it's because of an effective, whether you have a bad reaction specifically because it's something with the shot or whatever, whatever. But if he did have a if he did have a legitimate allergy, then so be it. At least that's what I would think, because I'm sure that, and we're talking about 3 years ago. So, I can barely remember most things from last week, let alone 3 years ago, even though I do have a sponge mind of things of useless information I do want to retain in my head. And trust me, it is a big head, I know. Um, I just think that, if you are allergic, you're allergic. Plain and simple. And I have more respect for somebody saying he's allergic to something from the very beginning as opposed to mentioning it 3 years ago, 3 years later. But I mean, this is something that's going to be coming out in the book. The book comes out next week. Um, Now, the irony is, Rodgers got traded to the Jets. He told O'Connor, the the author Ian O'Connor, that is, that he has joked with the Jets vice chairman Christopher Johnson, brother of team owner Woody from the Johnson and Johnson family, about his refusal to take the pharmaceutical company's vaccine. Now, the thing is, I don't know off the top of my head what makes one thing different from the other, nor do I care. All I know is when the time rolls around, I'm going to get my shot because, probably when I go see my doctor in September, he'll probably say, just to let you know, coming up, you got the flu shot, you got this shot. I think I got to get the shingle shot. I got to talk to him about that. Little things that I'm going to space out because let me tell you something. I made the mistake the one time when I first went to him. He goes, you can get your annual flu shot. I'm like, go right ahead. And you can get your pneumonia shot. Okay, let's do it. How do you want to do it? I was like, put one in the one arm, put the one in the other. I don't give a shit which one you put in one arm. Well, that was a bad mistake because I barely slept for 2 or 3 days because you know how a lot of times when you get a shot, your arm hurts like hell for a couple days? Now that's the only real reaction I've had to any shots. Well, the second COVID shot I had, the second initial shot, because you know I had to do the 2 initial shots back in the day. Um, I They said that the second shot really wears you out, and it did. And I almost fell asleep on my way home. You know, I took the train and then the bus back to my neighborhood. So, and I tell a funny story with this because I tell you that that shot cost me about $400 or $500. And you're like, what does that shot have to do with $400 or $500? Well, back at that time, I was blogging, and I was blogging the race from Keeneland, the Lexington Stakes, and I told everybody to take this long shot at Keeneland because his sire is Curlin. Curlin horses run well in the slop, and he will move up, so to speak. And I think he's going to win this race. Well, at that time, I had money both in my TVG account and my Twin Spires account, and both accounts were giving had a money back promotion, which basically means if your horse finishes second or third, depending on the number of horses in the race, because in some races you only have 6 or 7 horses, and depending on the promotion, they'll say, well, 6 or 7 horses, your horse has to finish second to get your money back. And I always joke around with those money back promotions, saying I suck at those promotions because I end up hitting the races. You know, my sense of humor. So I got home, I crashed on the couch. I mean, I crashed on the couch like this. So I woke up like around 6 o'clock. I missed the race. Matter of fact, I didn't even have the races on that day. So I wake up from my vaccine induced nap. I pull up my phone and I'm like, mother effer. Damn thing paid like $38 to win. It was 18 or 19 to 1. And if you put the $10 I would have had on Twin Spires and the $10 on TVG, that figures out to about 380, 390, $400. So that's my story about how that reaction to that cost me money. But everybody has different reactions, and you know what? Sore arm soreness. I'm not worried about that because it goes away after a while. But when I said put one here, I thought, okay, well, one won't get super sore on me. Well, as a result, both arms were sore for 3, 4 days, and every time I rolled to one side, I'd wake up because that arm would hurt. Then I'd fall back asleep. Then the other arm would hurt because I rolled onto that arm. But, you know, but that's a reaction that is not allergy related. That's just dumb luck, in my opinion. You know, but what Aaron Rodgers had there was um, you know, if it is a legitimate allergy, it would have been interesting to see what would have happened. But he probably would have still had to sit for 10 days no matter what anyway. So, um, so other new details in this book, which is unauthorized, even though he did talk to it. So I mean, but this is Aaron Rodgers. You expect this weird shit. Um, new details about the near decade-long estrangement between Rodgers and his family, including interviews with the quarterback, his parents, his grandmother, and other relatives. It also takes a look at the purported role in the family dynamics played by actor and former Rodgers girlfriend Olivia Munn, and the story of a recent first step Rodgers and his father have made toward a potential reconciliation, with a brief but meaningful expression of love last summer that compelled Rodgers to say he wanted to reestablish a relationship with his dad. So that's going to be in there. Um, um, why Rodgers was upset with then Packers coach Mike McCarthy during his most devastating defeat, the 2014 NFC Championship game collapse at Seattle. Rodgers wanted to call 6 plays he'd seen on film that seemed indefensible when Dallas defeated the Seahawks in the regular season. One veteran Packers player said that Rodgers wanted those plays called over and over again against Seattle, and McCarthy only called a few of them one time each. So, he's blaming McCarthy for that loss. I mean, you can blame your special teams as well, but whatever. Um, there's a story about then San Francisco coach Mike Nolan, who drafted Alex Smith instead of Rodgers with the first overall pick in 2005. He's still bothered that his offensive coordinator McCarthy benefited from that decision. McCarthy had a lot to do with picking the other one, meaning Smith, and in the end, he got the one that he didn't pick, and it elevated his career. Nolan says in the book. And here's one that he does have this thing with Adam Schefter. So there's a look at the much discussed text of ESPN senior NFL analyst Adam Schefter, who was seeking confirmation he was being dealt to the Jets last year. Rodgers told Schefter, "Lose my number, good try though." Later at the Yoder meetings, Packers general manager Brian Gutekunst, whose repeated messages to Rodgers had gone unreturned, told people, "At least Adam got a response from him." So, um, but it looks like it's going to be a book that will be a bit strange. But do you expect anything else with the topic of Aaron Rodgers? But some of the interesting things that came up over the period of time. So let me just check one thing here. And for those that are watching on X, aka Twitter, um, okay, now I pulled it up and it says that I don't understand. Yeah. So if you're watching on X and you see something and you want to respond, feel free to do so. Hopefully, I'll see it. Um, but anyways, one last story here that is worth mentioning here. The Olympics are over, and there was a story that the gymnast is not going to get her medal, her bronze medal, because of the politics of you took too long in the score or some crap like that. So I don't know what happened with that, but um, it's like USA said, well, we did it in 46 seconds, and the Olympic Committee said, no, you did it in a minute 5, so you don't get, her score stands, that original score stands, or some, whatever. But you get the idea. So I'm going to mention a story, and I'm going to tie it into future wagers and stuff like that as well. The United States was a heavy betting favorite to claim the most gold medals at the Olympics, a race that would come down to the final event, and it ended in a tie. The U.S. entered the Olympics with a minus 600 odds to win more gold medals than any other country, according to ESPN Bet. China had the second best odds at plus 350. The U.S. women's basketball team held off France 67-66 in the gold medal game on Sunday, giving the Americans their 40th gold medal and tying them with China for the most at the games. The U.S. garnered approximately 64% of the money wagered on the gold medal market at ESPN Bet. And, some people will bet on stupid things. I mean, I bet on, I bet on the second half of that basketball game, which was a dumb idea by me. But I did bet before the Olympics started. I said to my friend SJ on her show, Booking and Cooking Podcast, I think it's called. And if I'm getting the name wrong and SJ watches this after the fact, I apologize if I got the name wrong. But um, the one thing I will say is, um, you know, I definitely, I said, you know what? I'm putting France to win a medal. And it was even money. I'm not taking negative odds at all, no matter what it is. You know, well, let me rephrase that because there's going to be a situation during the football season where I will say, you know, your NFL team is -1 at -110. But if you look at the money line odds, if you look at the money line, you're getting -102. So -1 is technically a pick 'em. So why go with, for example, why giving the house an extra 8% of your money when you can, well, instead of going -110, which means that you're betting 110 to win 100 if you want to, but whittle that down to your increment. So let's say for $10 you bet 11 to win 10. Well, guess what? For $10.20 you win 10 back on that morning line wager. And when we get closer to the start of football season and I make my picks, you will get to see, hopefully, you'll get to see that in action because I can say, well, why go here at -1 and give the house a little bit of extra money when you could bet this way and get a little bit of extra juice for your buck? That's definitely something that I would tell you people because, I mean, I'm money conscious, but I'm also going to tell you, you know, let's look at something like that because guess what? I mean, when we were at that convention or that expo up at the Meadowlands in May, one of AJ's friends was there, and I was saying, he was talking about something. I said, yeah, because one thing I mentioned on my stream when I'm giving out picks every once in a while, we get that situation where you get the possible the possibility of winning the point spread and losing the money line bet is like this much. That probability is nearly the same. Why give 10% when you can give 2% back? So that's the one thing I would tell people. I would more need to show you that in 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 the flow of the showing my screen and showing you everything with that. But that's something that will come up probably in the next couple of weeks once the football seasons get started, pro and college. So um, now sportsbooks took varying approaches for settling the bets on the gold medal market. ESPN Bet, DraftKings, and FanDuel each settled the gold medal bets with a dead heat rule, generally meaning that half the amount of the bet is paid out at the odds offered. So, so if you were getting, well, we'll look at the China one because that's easier to figure out. So instead of getting 300 for your win for $100, you got 150 back. That's the best way to describe it. So you got half of the money you were expecting to win. Now, BetMGM included a tiebreaker in its gold medal betting rules and deemed the United States the winner due to winning more silver medals than China. Sportsbooks, Prime Sports, and the South Point in Las Vegas elected to pay bets out on both the United States and China, although the South Point Sportsbook director, Chris Andrews, acknowledged on social media that the amount bet on that market was relatively small. And the thing is, you know, the one thing I like about putting in my own wagers, even when I'm at the sports book using a self-serve machine, you don't You don't sound like an idiot saying, "I want this," and you know it's there. And the guy's like, "I don't see this. Where the hell, we don't off." They'll just say, "I just don't have that wager available to us." That's why I like to use self-serve because, I can put certain things in there, and if I fuck up, it's on me. It's not on you. But sometimes you just have to put in certain wagers that, sometimes you can find those wagers that are buried because, even when you get those sheets, which I don't think they print as much anymore in some casinos, I think they still do a lot in Vegas because, they make so much money in Vegas. You can waste money on paper and stuff like that. But um, so the one thing I will say, and especially since we're at this time of the year where everybody's going to be betting over unders on total wins, you're going to bet division winners. You're going to bet, Super Bowl odds, things like that. One thing I will tell you guys is that if you're going to go to a brick and mortar sports book, grab a printout of that sheet that you wagered on. Like, you know, just file it away. And the reason why I say that is some casinos have different house rules. And for example, my one buddy that I work with, he goes, "Oh, when you go out to Vegas," and this is probably before Pennsylvania had sportsbook gambling, put an put an over wager on the Phillies, put an under wager on the Phillies, whatever it was that year. So I told him, you may hit that wager, but you may not get that result because guess what? If they rain out the final 2-3 games of the series, you're not going to get the requisite games possibly to make that a legal bet or a bet that meets the criteria. Because if you go to a brick and mortar sports book, if you go to one of those brick and mortar sports books, grab one of those sheets if they're available because it will tell you the fine print on there, like must wait, must in MLB, for example, must have 160 games played for it to count as a wager. Because if your team doesn't play 160 games, let's say, you know, you have one game that was rained out because there was really nothing you could do because you know, a hurricane came up the coast. Okay, well, we couldn't play that last game of the series because we had to get out of town. And we tried to play it on Saturday. We got the first game in, but the storm came in earlier than we expected. Okay, so you didn't get game 162 in. So you have 161. You have a game that only mattered that you had rained out in July. That was the last time you two teams were facing each other at either place. Because a lot of times, so let's say um, the Phillies play the Nationals this weekend. Let's say Sunday's game gets rained out, and I don't know the weather forecast. It's probably going to be sunny as fuck. Um, let's say Sunday's game gets rained out because the Phillies still have to go down to Washington for the second time. They'll play that game in D.C., where the Phillies would be the designated home team, even though they're playing at Nationals Park. They have done that in the past, so they will do that. So the moral of this story is know what your legalese is on those sheets because if you do not, because if you know what the legalese is, what the criteria are of the bet, team must play 160 games, or in the NFL, team must play all 17 games for action. That's the words I was looking for action. So if you don't have action, you just get your money back. So um, so the one thing I would say is if you're in a brick and mortar casino, especially the ones in Vegas where they don't give a shit, they're going to print as much as they can. Get a copy of some of those um, future wager type bets, like the over under win totals, stuff like that, because you should get it because if something were to happen, and mind you, I don't know what happened back in 2020 when everything stopped. So, you know, I don't know if they were funded because, oh, we didn't meet the criterion, because, you put the legalese in, but you don't plan on something like a pandemic shutting every single thing down around the world. You don't plan on that. But if you get that, then you won't be calling the casino, calling the sports book, calling whoever and saying, why am I not getting my money? I had the Phillies over 87 wins. They got 89. Why aren't you giving me my full amount? Well, if you grab that sheet of paper, you could look at it and say, oh, must need X amount of games for action. Since you didn't get your action, here's your $100 back that you wagered, your $25 you wagered. Good day. Because you have to keep yourself informed on everything here. So, and that's something I would tell you guys. Read the fine print. Read the legalese that's on there, because sports books are going to put that on there because they know that the weirdest things happen and they have to cover their ass. And if they're not going to cover their ass, they shouldn't be in the sports book business, because guess what? That's how you lose more money. But if you have that sheet and be like, well, you know, and like I was telling my buddy, you may not, just want to warn you, you may not get that 162 games in, because guess what? That storm is coming up the coast, that hurricane, and guess what? They don't get those 3 games in. You don't get your 160 games. You do not win your money, even though the Phillies did win that 100, did top that 87 and a half, or whatever number your team had, over or under. You're not getting your money because it did not get action, because you did not get 160 games, for example. And then, oh, I'm going to sue the casino. Well, first thing they'll say is, well, did you know that it was 160 games? No. Well, guess what? On this sheet, it says right here, 160 games is action. You lose. Good day. So that's one thing I would basically tell you, is know what your action is. Know what makes your wager a qualifying wager and what does not, because things do happen. We found that out firsthand in 2020. And, you know, it's going to be um, it's going to be it's worthwhile noting this, especially for those that are watching, because if you're going to put a wager in, know that you need a certain amount of games for that um, for that wager to go through. And like Mike says, besides the high Joe, reading is fundamental. And what Mike also knows is hooked on phonics worked for me. So I don't know if Mike was watching the whole time or not, or he just came in. Doesn't matter. Uh, you know, but he probably was listening. It's like, I can't. He also knows when I go off on a rant. He also knows, no, I'm not. I'm not messing with that. I'll wait till he's done. So he might have been sitting there all night for all I know. I see what I have on my screen here, but I'm looking at on my screen here, the computer here. Um, I have a second computer here, and Mike, you kind of get to see here. I have the main computer that I'm looking at, and then I have my second computer screen here, where I have the screen going there. So, because I have one that I do certain things on, I do things on this one. This one's the gaming computer and the streaming computer. Been playing golf on it lately, um, but Mike knows. Yeah, and it's a mess around here, and eventually, you know, this week we have a Monday through Friday this week. Um, I have back-to-back weekends off. Um, you know, we don't have any, you know, but I think Saturdays. I've already warned AJ because AJ is supposed to be on. Um, he's supposed to be on the also eligible show on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. on the Bleacher Brothers Network, on the Bleacher Brothers platforms, which is YouTube, um, YouTube, X, and Facebook. Um, if AJ gets in there early enough on Saturday, I can see if we can fix the Twitch issue, because I think I know what the Twitch issue may be. I just think he may just need to fix just have to log back in, or he might have been had the account closed because you get three strikes with copyright infringements with songs and shit like that. So it might have been that. It may just be that, you know, because like for example, every once in a while I have to set up YouTube again, but I haven't had to lately. Um, I had issues with X a couple times, but the issues that I had last week were because I changed the profile picture, and because of the profile picture, I had my check mark taken away, which basically the check mark means you've been over for Elon and you got some money. He got some money off of you. Um, I'm just on a month by month situation with Elon because I figure he needs a little more juice with all the kids that he has. I figure he may have some erectile dysfunction as well. So I figure, if I bend over for Elon, he might be good and ready for me to just go wham. But I just think that, you know, want to try it out for a little bit. And, if I decide to up for a year and get the discount, I will do that, especially considering um, if we can work it out. Because from what I understand, there is a way that you can do both. I can stream the two Twitches at the same time, not two chicks at the same time, even though that would be a pretty cool thing right about now. Um, you could have um, two different. If I had two Twitches going at the same time, like I have the people that will watch me on this Twitch, but not the Bleacher Brothers Twitch. Because the one thing I wanted to do on Saturday morning was I did want to put this on mine and go with Bleacher Brothers Bleacher Brothers X, Bleacher Brothers Facebook, Bleacher Brothers YouTube, but my Twitch. But the Bleacher Brothers Twitch is still on there, and it's telling him to log back in. I don't know the password. I don't want to know the password. All I know is I am a contributor to Bleacher Brothers, so I have my little section with my stuff on there, and that's what I see. I see my stuff with that. So he sets up the page. I just go in Saturday morning, boom, I'm ready to go. I may tweak things a little bit, but you know, but like for example, I didn't have the call to the post ready, so I didn't have that as soon as I'm done the minute long introduction I do, this music right away. So, but you know, uh, so yeah, I will definitely be working on a few things during the week here, and hopefully next weekend I can get some things done with this Twitch page and everything else here. So, um, also, Mike, I hope you caught my article today because I did give out a nice winner today. I gave out a 9-2 winner today in the second race at Louisiana Downs. Also, you got the most juice out of a 9-2 wager because it paid 11.80 to win. So you got the maximum payment for um, that 9-2 odds. And I can tell Mike did not read the article today because he goes, "Oh," and that is two in a row that I've hit. I had Carl Spackler in the 4-star Dave yesterday, paid 610 to win. Uh, Today was 1180 to win on Kenya Spirit, I think it was Kenya something or other. Not can you bend over and take it from Elon, uh, but let me see here. Uh, 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 Let me just see here. Kenya Strike was the horse. It was a turf horse that won despite a wide trip. I said it's getting an inside post. If it stays on the inside, it's going to win. It should have a much easier time, and it did. No Bohica. Uh, yeah, I'm so ADD, ADHD. I probably said something I had no fucking clue what I said. So I don't know the joke behind it. So, Mike and I have all kinds of side jokes that go on, and I have no clue what that no Bohica means, but it probably went over my head anyway. Which is not the first time that something's gone over my head today. But so tomorrow we'll go for the hat trick. Try to get that third winner in a row. And I updated my spreadsheet. Okay. So Mike, just to let you know, I have to approve that statement, and I'm going to approve it because it helps me understand what you were saying there, and thankfully, SJ, who's one of the mods, I would have to say allow it, allow it, allow it. I will allow it. Uh, Bend over, here it comes again. That's what he meant. Okay. Um, so I probably did say bend over, Elon, boom, get you. So, you know, so, like I said, it went over my head, not the first time. And I'm Polish as well. And, I was joking around about my heritage today. Um, I'm sure Mike saw the news today that the Italian Air Force or something or other was flying over the city for whatever reason, and they had the plumes of green, white, and red, which are the Italian colors. Why they were here, I don't know. I didn't watch the news tonight because I was working, but Um, you know, as long as they aren't declaring war in the United States or doing some stupid stuff to drag us into something, do whatever. I don't care. But you know, um, the one thing I joked around today, and I'm sure Mike saw this one. Yeah, he saw it. Mike says he saw it. And for those that do not know what it is, I said, um, I said the Polish Air Force was also going to fly over the city, but they couldn't move their arms fast enough and hard enough. See, and of course, when we mentioned Jared Duran's uh, homophobic slur that he had yesterday, people say, "Well, you know, you're just as bad because you took a shot at Polish people." I'm half Polish. I just don't have the Polish last name. Okay, blame my mom for that. But you know, I have all kinds of Polak jokes. Like for example, the shrine that they have at one the one cemetery there. I call it the Tomb of the Forgotten Polak or something like that. Um, but you know, I want to see if I can get this one thing to play here. So like I said, I did have a somewhat stupid shit I saw from those two golf stories today. Let me see if I can pull this story up for people that are watching after the fact, especially. Um, and we'll see if I get it to work or not. I just have to scroll down a couple of days. I'm sure Mike saw it. Uh, yeah. And also, this is unrelated to it, but Major League Baseball is going to be playing at Bristol Motor Speedway next year. Um, I saw renderings of how they're going to do it. Whatever. Um, this is not the story I'm looking for, but that French pole vaulter that uh, lost in the Olympics because his massive dong got in the way. Apparently, he got a $250,000 offer from an adult film company after his bulge mishap. Um, there was the joke I told. Um, there was a joke I told the other day. Um, I'll never forget my mother's last words before she kicked the bucket. She said, "How far do you think I can kick this bucket?" Ah, here it is. I found it. So, like I said before, once again, hopefully this plays because I think I have to get this. I got to capture this video because I got to get this as a sound drop. And this will be a sound drop that I need to have, especially when we go 4 nights a week starting, I believe, September 9th. That's the date that AJ gave the other night on the Bleacher Brothers show on Wednesday night. Um, I'm going to zoom in on this so you can see more of the picture, even though you don't need the picture. This is from Awful Announcing. This was during the Olympics, during the diving competition. And if you don't hear it, let me know. Truthfully, I don't even need to. I don't even need to. zoom all the way in on this. You don't need to see the video. You just need to hear the words. And they're talking about a diver's dive here, and this is what they said. And Mike, let me know if you hear it. Oh no, SJ's here. Oh shit. Well, at least Mike, at least you had that comment. Hold on, no Bohica, because I was talking about bending over for Elon, and Mike had to go with the military joke there of bend over, here it comes again. But um, so this is the stupid shit I saw, part two. First part was the double golf stories I had tonight, the weird golf news. Here is the the story here, and if it doesn't play, I will have to figure something out for tomorrow night's show because I want to play it, even if I have to download the video, turn it into an audio. Might have to find it on YouTube, but either way, this was said during the diving competition last week before the end of the Olympics.
You can tell it was a huge start, so much power. You can tell it was a huge start, so much power. You can tell it was a huge start, so much power.
Did you guys hear that? So Mike did hear it. So um, I need to have this as a sound drop, and this is going to be probably my first sound drop that is going to be uniquely mine. So this is something I definitely need to have as a sound drop for my show going forward.
You can tell it was a huge start, so much power.
And trust me, there is a lot of power when you end up sharding yourself. And you know, and by the way, I think I did today. Hold on. Yesterday, I used the word shart as my first word on Wordle, and I ended up getting the word on the second word. I'm smart. I was just like, well, yesterday's word was scone. I don't know where I went from shart to scone. I'm like, well, these two vowels are the A's used already. Ah, fuck it, scone. Green, 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 green. Yes. So, yeah. So I still play Wordle. It's just a mind thing. Um, and you know what? I'm gonna play Wordle with you guys. Um, and you're gonna see my perverted mind at work. So I'm gonna share my screen, and I'm going to show the whole screen here. And I have no idea what these things are. I hope they're not butt plugs because, I'm not into that sort of thing. Maybe it's because they heard me talking about Elon and taking up the butt from him. But this is one of the first words that I use every time. Yes, it's either that or shart most days. Once in a while, I divert from a word that isn't vulgar or anything like that. But so I got the S and the I in yellow, which means that they're in the word, but they're not in the right spot. So, um, Let me think. Um, Now I got an hour to keep my streak alive. I'm at 26 days in a row here. Um, okay, so we have another word that begins with the letter S today. So I get the first. I get the first and the third letters. Um, okay, and uh, SJ, you're supposed to be nice to me. I did wear that shirt against my will last week to pay off that wager, and I willingly went and got that shirt right away. So you should be nice to me for paying off right away. Because okay, allegedly she is nice. Okay. Um, let's try skirt. Skirt. Okay, so ski. Hmm. Okay. So this is a little mind thing that I do usually in the mornings before I even do anything in the morning. Little mind exercise I do just for shits and giggles. Um, so we have SKI. So the yellow letters mean that the letters that are yellow say that they're in the word, but they're not in the right spot. Green means that they're in the right spot. So, and the gray letters are the word letters that are used that are not in the word. So, um, if you guys think you know what the word is, let me know as well. Um, I'm just doing this because I forgot to play this today. Um, only because I fell asleep last night, SJ, watching Action Labs because I was so tired. I just sat here. I put my legs up, stretched my legs out, leaned the chair back a little bit. Next thing I knew, it was like 12:30, and they were still talking. I was like, I'm going to bed. Screw them. Uh, then I woke up at 6 o'clock. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm getting up at 6, and went to the bathroom because I'm an old person. Came back, fell asleep on the couch again. Finally, next thing you knew, it was like 8:20. I was like, all right, well, if I wake up at 9, I wake up at 9. Alarm went off at 9:30, but um, usually I do this first thing in the morning just a little wake me up. So SKI. So I know it's not this. I'm not entering that, but you know, because if that S was there, that would have been green. Um, and it's not sky because no E. Um, lucky guess. So my streak right now is at 27 days in a row. My all-time best is 57. My all-time best should be technically 90 because you get one of those days where you just forget. You realize last minute it's like, oh shit, I forgot to play it. But and ignore that one where guest distribution because of the fact that when they started the the tabulations, I had already done the Wordle for the day, and I put the word in again. So that's the only reason why I got the one. So I'm at 27 in a row. So hooray to me! I got the word right, and I just proved to SJ that I'm allegedly smart, even though uh, SJ questions my smartness, my intelligence, like most people do. Are you sure? And I could, you know, I could hold that against her, but I won't. And she's laughing at me. So yeah, so the streak continues. There is also an MLB version of it as well. The MLB version is on the app. Um, I actually hit one on the first guess legitimately last year. Um, one of the outfielders for the Baltimore Orioles was on the. I'm not sure if it was on off base or intentional talk, but Cedric Mullins was on the show, was on one of those shows. I think it was more intentional talk. So I was just like, yeah, fuck it. Let's put Cedric Mullins in. Green, 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 green. Boom. I'm like, but they do have a game. I just don't play it. But I know exactly what you're talking about with the NFL version of it. There's a baseball version. I'm sure there's a hockey version of it as well. But you know, but I'm at 27 now. I know many people have said, "Oh, Wordle sucks now. It's owned by the New York Times and stuff like that." I don't care. It's a way for me to get my mind going first thing in the morning and catch up at the end of the day. It's like, oh shit, I forgot to play it. So, but so SJ is going to be busy with the WNBA again. When does the WNBA start back up? See, I'm putting her to work now. The 15th. Okay. Okay. So, hmm, Thursday. And somebody did DM me yesterday. I wonder who, thinking that I stream on Sundays. I wonder who that could have been. I know it's not Mike. Thank you. How's it going, man? I'm doing good. Uh, how are you doing out there? Um, yeah, I had some problems with my back last week. Mike didn't know about it because I didn't post it on Facebook, but I kind of mentioned it in passing on SJ's Discord yesterday. Um, you know, I don't know if it was because I fell asleep on the couch one night or it's just I did something in bed where all of a sudden I got a bad back pain. But you know, but it would have been more fun. It would have been a more fun story if I hurt my back doing something in the bedroom, if you know what I mean. Not sleeping, but signs of an old man, everything hurting. You know, I have a song for all the aches and pains that I have. It's a remake of the REM song, everything fucking hurts. Everything fucking hurts all the time. Between my knee, my arm, now my back. The back is resolving itself, thankfully. So, unless I do something and pull something, I'll be fine in a couple of days. Because I hurt my back one year at Christmas time. And let me tell you, my back hurt for like 4 or 5 months afterwards. I mean, we were even on strike, and I was like, my back is killing me today. But um, yeah, and SJ has her issues, not issues that I have, because Michael say I have issues up here. But seriously, um, SJ does have her issues. I'm not going to divulge them, so well, she's also got me as a problem too, but we won't get into that either. But you get the idea. So, but this is the fun part of the show where I've done everything I can. I could just fart around and stuff like that. Damn it, Gracie. So SJ won't be back for another couple of hours. But 7.5 minutes. Now, is this 7.5 minutes what it takes Gracie to do her job, or how long you've been here tonight? Now, Mike can vouch for this. All right, 11:17, go. Mike will vouch for this, and I know I'm going to be saying it to Bank Boy, and I doubt that SJ's. Um, if SJ's watching, she's got one eye on me and the other guy, and the other eye on Gracie's ass. You know, then so be it. But um, Mike can vouch for this, especially the Bank Boy. Um, Mike can vouch for this. When we worked in that redacted company names office, Pork Chop, welcome in, man. Pork Chop is one of my friends from Free for All. Uh, Pork, Big Mike, he's my buddy from work, my best friend here locally. SJ is taking her dog for a shit. And Bank Boy is also part of SJ's crew. I can't find his post here. Uh, and Bank Boy's here as well. So, one thing I can tell you from, the 7.5 minute thing that SJ mentioned, um, I can tell you from working at the redacted business name that I still work at, that Mike used to work at, we used to have to sign out for proof that we were away from the computer. So, let's say you got to do a massive number two, and you can make it to the desk to sign in and then go right to the bathroom, because sometimes it's like, I'll sign in when I get done. But, the one thing is you had to sign out, like let's say I'm working an overnight and 11:19 p.m. here on the East Coast, I got to drop the nuclear weapon. And you know, sign out 11:19, go to the bathroom, do my thing, come back 11:27, because um, the one thing is, especially when we were outside the city of Philadelphia, and I'm not going to say what city because I'm not giving the opportunity of somebody putting two and two together. And Mike, there's a story I have to tell you away from the internet because I don't want to incriminate myself. Um, anyways, but there's so much involved in that story that even if I did tell it on here, I don't want anything on there. So, anyways, um, you know, I know that most of the time, because when we were at that old office near where Mike lived at the time because he moved to that area. Um, you had to go down this long hall. Now, mind you, a lot of times when it was time for me to go, I'm going down the hall, butt cheeks clenched together, like, oh no, I'm not going to make it. And then you had the one guy, and Mike knows exactly who I'm talking about when I say this. He'd come into the bathroom and he'd start preaching about Jesus. And I think I may have said that to him, but I might have just used it as a punchline to uh, joking around to our little group of men behaving badly, as we called it. I said that, you know, leave me alone. I'm reading Deuteronomy. And the fact that I know that Deuteronomy is one of the first 5 books in the Old Testament says a lot about my Catholic education. But um, yeah, Mike knows exactly who I'm talking about, and I'm not going to mention that person's name either, even though he does have a common name, because I'm not giving anybody the chance of putting any dots together. So I know for a fact, and this is why the 7.5 minute thing came to me out of nowhere, and you know, SJ was talking about her dog and the clockwork of her and her dog. So I was like, all right, is it taking Gracie 7.5 minutes to take a shit? Or, because the thing is, you know, it kind of reminded me, as weird as it sounds, of me having to take a dump at work when we had to sign in and out. We got to the point where we were down to 10, 15, 20 people when we were in our current building, which we don't habitate right now because we have the work at home agreement. You know, you just wandered off and you did your thing. But then again, the bathrooms were right there. So, but I always, with the floor that we are on now, allegedly, and I say allegedly because we work from home, I would just give the supervisor that would be sitting in the middle of the floor. I'd be like, you know, getting his attention, just letting him know that I'm just not wandering off just for the sake of wandering off. I'm basically about to let loose a nuclear weapon or I got to take a leak. But, drop off some egg salad. The Browns go to the Super Bowl, whatever you want to call it. So, and I know we're getting into disgusting TMI talk. I'm trying to, uh, that would be a weapon of ass destruction, not mass destruction, ass destruction. But yeah, so the one thing is, um, you know, having to walk, especially at the old office, all the way down the hall to the other end of the hall. And now, mind you, the hall wasn't that long, but it did seem like forever if you're going to go in your pants. So it seemed like forever. And it always seemed like for me that all my number twos were 8 minutes long. Sometimes it'd be seven, sometimes it'd be nine, but usually it's in that 8 minute range. So that 7.5 minutes that SJ was talking about reminded me of the PTSD of having to sign in and sign out for every bathroom break just so that know that you're not just wandering off. It's like, hey, and it does sound like it's stupid, and I know it is, but when you have at the one time over 200 operators in your office and you were working 24 hours a day and you had x amount of positions and all that different things that were going on back in the uh back especially 1999 when Mike and I got hired. Why they hired us, I don't know, especially me, but um yeah, truth, memories in my twisted mind. My mind's more twisted than yours, trust me. uh but seriously, you know you had to sign in and sign out. And, it was just, I mean, it was their way of saying, okay, well, we know you have to do what you have to do. And sometimes you just can't hold it in. Just have the courtesy of signing out just so that, we know you had to do your thing or, you wandered off. I mean, I know that I had a operator that, and Mike will probably remember this. Um, when we were at the old office, and Mike might have been off that day, he might not have been, I don't know. Um, we had one kid, and I caught him the one night. I was a fill-in supervisor. I was closing out the night there, and somebody decided that they're going to sign off, and they were going to go into the that one area where the TV was and the couches and the phones and stuff like that. I forget what we called that room, but Mike knows the room that I'm talking about. I found a person signing out to take a short, and he decided to take a nap. So, needless to say, he didn't last long after that. I had to tell the manager, you know, you know, I'm, I may have ratted out the person, but you're there to work. You're not there to sleep. But Uh, Mike might remember that. That's probably early 2000s when we were still hiring people. And once again, I don't even remember the person's name anymore, nor do I care. SJ returned, yay! And that was about 10 minutes. Close enough. Yeah, I didn't keep complete track, so it was about 10 minutes, but it's close enough. But I was telling this. Did you hear my story about the PTSD I had about work and having to sign out to go to the bathroom when we were in our old office? Okay, so you did hear. Okay, so your 7.5 minutes gave me PTSD for whatever. But but then again, you had 200 people in the office at the time. Charge her a late fee. Uh, she just doesn't get to come on the show on Thursday. That's all. Oh well. I'm waiting for a comment. So, and also And she's not coming on the show on Tuesday either, tomorrow night either. So, you know, because it took Gracie 10 minutes to take a shit. Uh, you know, oh well. Because Mike said to charge you a late fee, but but whatever. You know, I'm joking around, but we don't want you to describe it. All I know is you were probably like this the whole time. Come on, Gracie, you stink. Come on, finish up, finish up. Yeah, because Gracie does have odoriferous farts, but thankfully I don't have dogs. And Noelle says hi. Noelle is her cat, and of course, Noelle's. I'm sorry. SJ sends me a picture this morning of Noelle licking herself. Now, I could have went in several different directions, but I chose to. I chose to be a gentleman and not go into that rabbit hole. I don't even know what I sent her, but but you know, I actually didn't even send one right away because I was. I don't know. My brain is so fried, and this is why I'm glad I'm at this point in the show where I can just shoot the shit and have some fun with you guys. Um, Let me see here. Didn't save. Okay. And also, just to let you know, it's also Diarrhea Week, Diarrhea Awareness Week. It runs till Saturday. See, the worst part about this is it's like you tell a joke, you tell a joke, and you have to wait 30 seconds for the response usually. But you know, it is what it is. So, um, and also SJ, I'm not sure if you saw this today, but for whatever reason, the Italian Air Force. Yes, I did. Just to let you know, SJ, that's his wife, Patricia. Um, she puts up with my shit too. Uh, I feel bad that she has to put up with me, but we joke around. Um, but I do post some stuff at least on Facebook that are not PC a lot of times. Now, I have not been called on it by anybody, thankfully, other than, you know, um, Mike, his wife Pat, a couple other people on my Facebook list, friends list. Thankfully, SJ is not on there. I have one place I can be a total asshole. Um, So just for that, SJ's now going to look on the Facebook and find me. Watch, but I might have to decline her invite. But anyways, um, no, seriously, the thing is, I say this all the time, and I said this earlier about um, Jaron Duran using a certain homophobic slur today or Sunday. You know, if I was hiring somebody, you know, and I had to go through their Facebook and look up every derogatory term with at whatever their handle is, you know, if it was something that occurred 10, 15 years ago, I would probably sweep it under the rug because of the fact that it was a long time ago. But if you had it time after time, you see something recently about any type of slur or anything like that, then I would raise the red flag. But Duran did apologize right away to the umpire and catcher because he was getting harassed by somebody in the home plate area all game. But so I talked about that. The two weird golf stories. Graham McDowell got suspended from the next live event because of a nasal decongestant. It had a banned substance in it. Apparently, live does have rules. Matt Kuchar, he was in the final group of three in the Wyndham Championship yesterday. Apparently, well, here's what happened because I actually had the TV on at the time because I was trying to find something to watch while I was doing different things. And the other two golfers in his group of three decided to play onward. He hit his first shot into the rough, and um, he needed a question answer, a ruling. So he decided he asked the course official, the PGA official, whoever it was, with it being dark, does it basically mean that a virtual horn blew? And basically, what that means is if there's a storm coming that they want to get everybody off the course, or there's a horn that they blow where, okay, well, you have the opportunity of finishing the hole, but that's it for the day. They're on the final hole. He goes, is this basically a virtual horn, but you didn't blow a horn? The official said yes. He said, well, I'm not playing. Well, the other two players finished out the hole. He was in 12th place. So he came back to finish the hole by himself, yet we knew who already won the tournament. So he came back. So he got a drop because of a line of sight issue with the scoreboard behind in front of him. So he was able to drop into the fairway. His shot was short of the green. He chipped in. He chipped. He hit the flagstick, and then he tapped in for his par to finish tied for 12th. Got $125,000, and ended up he's in 103rd place right now. So he has an opportunity to retain his tour card, which is probably, if you think about it, a smart idea why he did that. But those that were working at the Wyndham Championship, they had to come back for one guy today. He apologized for it, but those are the stupid stories that I'd like to talk about. Um, and also, I had a great story here, SJ, about sports books with the Olympics. Depending upon who you had, depending on what sports book you had, put a wager on if you chose to do so on who would win the most gold medals. You either got half your money back in what is called a um, dead heat, and you see dead heats in horse racing, and it pays a little bit different, but it's kind of like the same thing where you get half the expected money back. Um, BetMGM had its own gold medal betting rules where they had a tiebreaker of silver medals. The United States had more silver medals, so United States was the winner on that wager on BetMGM. So, and the one thing I was saying is with NFL future wagers going on right now, like over under win totals and stuff like that. The one thing I said was if you're going to a brick and mortar sports book, and in that case, it's one of your two casinos there where you live in that state. Not sure if I want to mention the state only because I want to protect your anonymity and everything else. Yeah, I'm not going to mention the state. You may have I might have mentioned it before, but I don't remember. But one thing I would recommend, especially if that casino likes to print sheets out all the time, even if they print them out like for the future wagers once every few days, I highly recommend going forward, especially grabbing one of those sheets and filing it away for a couple of months. Because I said this to one of my friends a few years ago, might have been 2 years ago even, but it was. I think it was before Pennsylvania got their sports books. I said because I put in a wager for them. I was like, just to let you know, they may not get that 162 games in, so you may not get your money for that wager because they do put at the bottom of the sheet must have X amount of games played for action on the wager. So one thing I would say is always check the fine print, and if you have to get a printout of those over and unders, even though the odds may change, you want to get it just for the legalese that they have on there. Like for example, must must play 160 major league games for action on the over unders, let's say. Whereas, or the NFL must play 16 of the 17 games, or must play all 17 games for action, something like that. So, it's good to have those sheets around for that. So that's the stuff you miss for the most part, SJ. So you don't have to rewatch me talking for 2 hours before we got into this silly session. But you know, since we're yeah, it's a smart business practice. Yeah, because you go to court, you're not going to win because if you don't know the rules, it's on you. It's not on the casino. They did what they had to do. Um, but you know, um, I lost my train of thought there, so I was going to say something else as well. Um, yeah, but it's best just to have that, because you know, you go to court, you lose. It's like, now you're losing extra money because you got to pay court fees and shit. But me, I'm always about saving money if I can, and also giving out winners from time to time, like I did today with my race from Louisiana Downs because I did not want to handicap a 4-horse race at Assiniboia Downs tonight. So I did give you a winner. I actually gave you a 9-2 winner that paid the maximum 1180 at Louisiana Downs because a 5-1 shot pays a minimum $12. So, yay me! And uh, where was I taking her, Mike? I'm busting balls. Yeah, just me. I know that's supposed to be talking. That's why I joked around like that. So you don't even have to correct yourself, Mike. Even though you probably did by the time that reached your phone or computer or whatever. Um, but but I think I was done the statement about making sure you have a copy of those over or under sheets if you're going to play over unders. Uh, but I know that SJ, when she does her wagers, for the most part, they're done on apps. So you just have to dig for that information of what each uh, what that is. So yeah, so I was giving a recap. Yeah, okay, yeah. So basically, and I was mentioning Aaron Rodgers because he's got an alleged um, an alleged unauthorized biography, but how? I mean, here's a question I have here, and maybe SJ can answer this because she graduated from college too. I know Mike did too, but um, you know, maybe somebody can figure this out. How is a book unauthorized an unauthorized biography or whatever when you talk to the author. Typical Aaron Rodgers shit, if you ask me. But and oh, and I did say I was going to mention this while I was looking at somebody's Facebook page, a Facebook group today. Um, we were talking how the Phillies won 5 of 6 from the Dodgers this year, and I said after the Thursday night game how winning one more game was important to the Phillies in Arizona because if you win 4 out of 7, if the Phillies and the Diamondbacks end in a tie, and you have the 4 wins out of 7 with the way that the playoffs are set up now, where you don't have that game 163, you just go to the tiebreaker, which is head-to-head record. Well, if it happens that it's Phillies and Dodgers with the same record, Phillies will have the advantage over the Dodgers. But with the fact that they lost 3 straight, they end up losing the season series to Arizona. And, even though the Phillies played in Arizona last year, they do have Arizona does have home field advantage over the Phillies if those two teams end in a tie. But the good news is we get to see that the Phillies do bounce back because they do have 2 crappy opponents this week. I know SJ is enjoying the fact that they're playing the White Sox, or at least I think they are. Let me just double check that. No, she's not. Okay. Forget I said that. I didn't realize that the White Sox actually tried to be a major league team today. But, you know, I saw that they scored more than 9 runs combined because that was um, the juice reel play of the day, for extra juice reel points. So I didn't realize it was a lot to a little White Sox, but it happens. And that's the one thing I will tell you about baseball. You know, it's okay you lose to a team every once in a while, but you know, just make sure it's not a habit, especially a team like the White Sox. But the Phillies get Miami, who they've owned the last year or two, and they got Washington, who has given them problems the last year or two. So, but um, good time to get back on track before they go back on the road next week. Next week they play. This week it's Washington and or this week is Marlins and Washington. Next week the Braves and the Royals. Braves are, you know, you may get a chance to beat up on the Braves, or the Braves may come back to life. We'll see. But Braves have been struggling lately. And oh yeah, I do want to share this one picture. Now I'm not going to say what the reasoning, my caption for this, so I'm going to have to play around with this a little bit. Matter of fact, this may be my all-time picture that I have here. That you know, if I knew Photoshop, I would Photoshop my face onto this. And if I knew how to do it, I would definitely send this to SJ as a joke with my face instead of Bryce Harper's. And Mike, you've probably seen it on Facebook. I'm not going to caption that because it is something that was not PC, and um, you know why, but you know where I was going with that then. But this is definitely a picture I would need to send to SJ, especially if I knew Photoshop, because imagine getting a picture of me looking like that. because that is basically me mentally at 7:30 every night when I'm done work. You know, and back when I had more hair on the top of my head, you know, that was me when I knew when it was time to get a haircut as well. Because I didn't go by people telling me, "Oh, you need to get a haircut" or anything like that. Me, I was just like, "Okay, when I start looking like the albino Don King, I know it's time for a haircut." But, right now, I'm probably another month away from needing a haircut. So, probably probably September at the start of my vacation. Uh, I'm not going anywhere, Mike, so, just give you a little heads up, you know. And that probably should be a heads up for SJ as well, because SJ may want to punish me. SJ may want to punish me, and make me go to a Yankees game as well. Tom, just shave it off. It's easier. Now, I do know that X does work from time to time. Um, I know that Bleacher Brothers has been having problems with theirs. Uh, but okay, it appears that's the only comment from X today. So, Chef Tom is one of our Bleacher Brothers. Um, doing well. Hope you're doing well where you are. Um, he does the Wednesday golf show, and you know, um, um, sorry, I got a whole bunch of things here at once here. Uh, I got a T-shirt, Mike. That's as much as I'm spending, and that T-shirt was $40. You know, I will still wear it, but anyways, Pork Chop says Union has Cincinnati tomorrow in the League's Cup, tough matchup. I agree, and that's in Cincinnati as well. Cincinnati has owned the Union the last year or two. Um, uh, Tom is on X, obviously, because I see the logo there. But I wanted to check that because I know talking with another of our Bleacher Brothers, God, um, you can tell it's late because I can't think of who it is. Um, Jesus Christ, I met him in Vegas. Uh, fuck. Well, this, you know, you could say it's getting old. I'll say it's just me showing my um, spit it out. Tea time for betters. And Tom, I'm making a suggestion to you. I don't want it tonight. I'll be watching on Wednesday when you're on 9 o'clock, I believe, with uh, um, when you're with Frank, who fills in for AJ on my Saturday show, also eligible. Um, I want you to discuss the situation with Matt Kuchar, even though it didn't affect anything um, with anything money wise. I don't think. Um, but you know, and Pork Chop is a Portland Timbers fan. It is the Portland Timbers, right? Or I'm not. mixing things up here because it is almost 12 o'clock here, and my brain has been fried since 7:30. Actually, my brain's been fried since 11:45 this morning. But no, Mike, not Wayne Newton. I'm talking about the guy from Bleacher Brothers that I met in February. Um, God, I gotta look this up here because it's annoying the fuck out of me now. Um, Thankfully, I don't follow people all the time anymore. It's not Toby. Um, he did his show tonight. I can't believe I can't think of his fucking name. I apologize for the cursing. Um, Robbie Listella. He was telling me when he was doing his show, or actually, he was watching my show on X. He said, "X is funny. Sometimes you do get the alerts. Sometimes you don't, or the comments like here with Chef Tom. But he's got a show on Wednesday. Uh, you know, if you're going to do a comment about that, just for Wednesday, if you want to do it, you don't have to. I mean, if you want to mention it tonight, that's fine too. But I think it'd be an interesting thing to talk about how he decided to say, "Screw this, I'll wait till tomorrow," and the other two golfers decided to finish. Because I understood why the one golfer wanted to finish because he had an outside chance of holing out to cause a playoff on Monday. But just some weird stuff that happened in the golf world. Both on live with a guy getting suspended for a nasal decongestant causing a positive and all that. So, but but the Timbers won the group, and they had to play their match anyway. I think that's what happened with the Philadelphia Union when they played their second match, which I think they lost, if I'm not mistaken. But then they played Montreal here and they won 2-0. Um, and I got to see if I can get that jersey I have cleaned up because it's got a stain on there. And the great thing about soccer jerseys, the jersey, the kit tops, because a uniform is a kit in soccer. I do know some of the jargon, but I got hot sauce all down me one day, and have been able to get it out. And I'm probably going to do one more thing. If not, I'm going to have to toss it. And but the thing that sucks is it's the only powder blue uniform that I really love because I do not like powder blue. That's one of the few things I like about the New York Yankees is that they did not fall into that powder blue craze in the 70s. But, yeah. All right. First question I have is, do you understand the words coming out of my mouth? Okay, seriously. I will repeat it. The one thing I like about the Yankees is I like that they did not go with powder blue uniforms when the powder blue craze initially happened in the 70s when everybody was high off their ass. You know. Well, I don't have my soundboard set up yet, because at least on here I can do 6 sound drops, and one of them's going to be the one from the Olympics. Um, I got to get the video of it downloaded tonight after I'm done here because apparently one of the commentators for NBC, at least I think it was for NBC, called one of the guys a big shark, and I need that because anytime we have a big shark incident, I gotta just go boop and play that drop because I do have 6 drops that I can use, but it's just a trumpet. That's the closest thing to pork chops womp womp that he mentioned. There's a magical twinkle. There's a drum roll, which is way too long if you ask me. There's the doorbell. There's the air horn. And there's the crowd applause. Because I do need a couple of different things here that I need on here until I get um, a sound machine so I can play all my drops at once. Just go boom, 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 that sort of thing. Or I could just have it in the background and just create my own soundboard or whatever. But you know, because the one thing is with me, I do like to play those sound drops, like Conor McGregor. Who the f is that guy? You know, um, you know, Stream Deck. That's what it is. Stream Deck has a mobile app. Hmm. And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, when I use my stories and I print this shit up, I always have something to write something down. Um, Stream Deck mobile app. And then I just have to figure out how to hook everything up and go from there. Because if I do that, then look out, world. Because um, yeah, but I may eventually buy the unit and not the big unit, Randy Johnson, but you know, uh, I'll take a look into it. I'm glad that you're here, um, Pork Chop, because we can. I'm glad I had this um, little fun time here. Even though we're under sports for a category, we are just uh, shooting the shit here. So um, just checking something here. So, um, but and I know SJ knows about this. I think Mike knows about this because I think he was on here when I mentioned it. Um, Anybody out there who does not know, question why I have a thigh pillow there. Mike, did I tell you why that is without revealing the whole story? Okay, so Mike knows. I know SJ knows because I told her I found this on an Etsy page. Um, Now, as you guys know, well, some of you know if you see my Twitter account that I am the horse racing degenerate for Bleacher Brothers, and I do my article every day. Quills picks winners, and I gave that winner today. Um, my dad got me into horse racing, not because hey, I know what I can make you do. It was just it was on the TV. I started watching, and little by little you learn things and you read the newspaper at the time. Remember that? And back in the day, you had the entries for what was then known as Philadelphia Park. You had Garden State Park at the time. You had Atlantic City, and you had Delaware. You had those entries in the Philadelphia Inquirer. So, little by little, get a little interested. You start making some money. It's like, what am I going to do? Ah, fuck it, I'll go to the track. So, the one thing my dad did do all the time, and Mike actually heard it when we went up to the track on my birthday last year, and my dad would tell me all the time, especially the last few months that he was alive. He would say to me, "Just play all the fives for me at whatever track." So that pillow I found on a Instagram ad called "Just Us Phillies," JUSTUSFILLIES. So I followed the link, made sure it was legitimate because my hard-earned money. I'm making sure I get what I want. So um, So because my dad will always tell me stories how he had a blind wager on a 5 horse and it came in at 50 to 1 or whatever it is, and I would check on him. I'd be like, all right, let me check if he's telling the truth. I'm like, that motherfucker did hit a 50 to 1 shot. So um so what I did as a tribute to him, I got that pillow, the number 5, and that pillow is in the color of the saddle cloth that the horses wear at most North American tracks, if not all. Um, Now there are occasional races, especially at Keeneland, where they will run a stakes race and the saddle tails will be in the color of the sponsor of the race. So like let's say the sponsor is Toyota. It will be red and white for all the saddle tails, but they have a saddle tail color system for horse racing in North America from 1 all the way to 24. And the number 5 is a green saddle towel with white numbering on it. The number 5 is in white, and that is a way, an interesting way that I can pay tribute to my dad. So that's why I do that. So I know Pork Chop doesn't know about it. I don't think Bank Boy knew about it before. Chef Tom I know didn't know it, but just a little fun thing I do. You know, just a fun way to remember my dad. And if somebody were to walk into my apartment, like, why the hell you got a number 5 pillow? Well, let me tell you about my dad. So that's why I do it. It's kind of like how I have that Jason Kelsey Phillies jersey. It's to start a conversation, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It did when I had my little high school get together when we went to the Phillies game last month. So uh, you know, little things that I do. Try to get conversation starters and stuff like that. So but Union do play tomorrow in Cincinnati. Let me see something here because I may just make. Well, I don't have any money in my account because I pissed it all away yesterday on the slot machines. Uh, but I was getting points for it. So um, if I can find it here. Mm. Um, you know what? FC Cincinnati and Philadelphia Union. You know what? For shits and giggles, let's go with the 90-minute draw at plus 290 for last. I'm not going to play it, but just a little fun thing that I have on here. But yeah, Portland Meadows is now an Amazon delivery station. Yeah, yeah, I know that because one of the former track announcers, Jason Beam. I'm friends with him on Instagram and um, Twitter. He mentioned that a couple times on his show that when Portland Meadows closed, it became that, and it just sucks. But the thing is, a lot of these tracks, especially the ones that were owned by the Stronach Group, which is now uh, First First Racing, I believe changed the name, the corporate name a couple of times. A couple of their tracks have closed. Portland Meadows was never a big track. It was like, you had all these tracks, and they had Santa Anita, Gulfstream, Laurel Park, Pimlico. Um, there may be something else, and or Golden Gate at the time they closed up in June, and then they had Portland Meadows. It's like it's kind of like Sesame Street. One of these things is not like the others. Portland Meadows is an afterthought and was a horse racing afterthought, but yeah, I did watch them every once in a while in the last couple of years. It was just that you know couldn't wager it through Parks, which is the racetrack here right outside of Philadelphia, because they didn't usually carry Portland Meadows, even though the winter months when they were on, you know, they still didn't carry it, even though there's less tracks running over the winter. But Portland Meadows is no more. Golden Gate is no more. Laurel Park is closing in a year or two. So three of the tracks that the Stronach Group did own, you know, because I just think it would be better that they ran the races at Laurel, but they're redoing Pimlico. So what do I know? But but it is sad because it is, there is a big contraction in the horse racing industry. Tracks are closing, less horses are being bred, less horses are making it to the races, and the opportunities just aren't there. It's I mean it's sad in general, but if I can do my part to help do my thing and just say, hey, this is what I'd like in this race, and always bet within your means and stuff like that. It is what it is. So, but it is sad that even though it's probably one of the worst, one of the places I least wanted to be in January is probably Portland Meadows, with the snow, the rain, the ice that they get nonstop over the course of a winter. I doubt I would want to be there, but you get the idea. But I was at uh, Emerald Downs back over Memorial Day weekend. Now, unfortunately, I got a cold, gray day, but when you go to Emerald Downs outside of Seattle, you do get a view of Mount Rainier on a sunny day. But unfortunately, the mountain was not out because of all the gray weather that was in the area that day. But, little stuff there. Uh, so I think I'm going to call it a night. So I do want to thank Pork Chop for joining me from the Free for All crew of friends that I have. Mike from my Philly friends, SJ, Bank Boy, Chef Tom from Bleacher Brothers. Check his show out on Facebook at 9 o'clock. I think it's also going to be on. I think it's on X as well. But it's definitely on Bleacher. It's definitely on Facebook. That's where I watch it, or no, on YouTube I watch. So it's definitely on the YouTube. Um, SJ was here. Obviously, we're making fun of her a little bit. I thank everybody. Bank Boy was here. I think that's everybody. But like Mike said at the very beginning of the show, reading is fundamental. But being absent-minded like I be from time to time, I forget who showed up. And if you're watching, even on X, thank you for joining me. We'll do it again tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 Pacific. Hopefully, we'll get through 2 hours. And starting September 9th, I go to 4 days a week. The Bleacher Brothers Sports Network is coming, and the app is going to be available around that time, and we are going to launch at that time. Hopefully, I'm supposed to say that, but I guess I can because AJ did mention it on his Wednesday show last week that BBSN is coming, and I will be going to 4 nights a week. And that's when the audio podcast will return, because I could just turn the uh, video to audio, and also you can listen to any of our shows at any time, uh, or you could be anywhere in the world. You know, just pop on the app, boom, you're listening to whatever's on. So that's a great thing about having an online radio station is you can listen to that at any time. And also, I am going to work this weekend on my online radio station, mix109radio.us. That is an online radio station that's dedicated to music, and it's basically a little bit of everything. I mean, I can go from Frank Sinatra to Metallica to Two Live Crew in a matter of 3 songs. That's how crazy the format is because it's like anything goes. So, but I'll start promoting the Mix 109radio.us in a couple of weeks because I just got to do some final things on that page. So, but I do appreciate everybody that takes the time, whether it's a couple of minutes or a couple hours. Pork Chop, Mike, SJ, Bank Boy, Tom, and anybody else that was watching on X that did not participate in chat. But you don't have to participate in chat. Some people just may want to listen and wait to hear what I have to say next, kind of like Howard Stern, but without all the controversy. But that's it for now. I do appreciate everybody, and let's do it again tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. So we are on a 21-hour break, thereabouts, and let's do it again tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody. See you then.